Okay, welcome back. So I started this off ranking the 25 cars that I reviewed in 2024, so last year as I'm recording it. So I already covered the top 15, everything from the Genesis G80 down to the Kia Sorento, which two of them took positions 11 and 10. So this video will do the top 10 that I reviewed, in my opinion. When we get to the top 3, it's a bit of an interesting one, I suppose, because I even now as I think about it, I'm like, is it in the right order? Anyway, they're all interchangeable, and we'll talk about it as we get there. But anyway, let's keep going. So number 10 is the Kia Sorento. I'll put the Sport Plus in 11 and the GT line in 10. You could swap them around. Like, they're both good cars, and I had them in the different engine formats as well. I think we'll kind of talk about this already. It's just going to come down to what you want out of it. Look, the V6 was smooth and it drove well. The GT line just had everything. So depending on where you sit on that, you could swap the positions. But anyway, number 10, Kia Sorento, basically. Number 9. Now, this is a bit interesting considering my number 1 for 2023 was the Peugeot 508 GT, which was killed off last year. And so that left the Peugeot 408 GT PHEV as their flagship car. Obviously they have SUVs. But yeah, number 9, the Peugeot 408 GT PHEV, which is a shame. Look, it just didn't drive as well. It had that good Peugeot quirkiness that I do like, and the looks amazing, but it's a bit of a high riding fastback, if you like, and it was just missing a couple of things, bit pricey for what it was. Yeah, I just didn't gel with it as much as I did when I had the 508, so that was a bit of a shame. I was a bit disappointed that it positioned that low in my list. I do like my Peugeots. I don't know why. I'm not French. But anyway. Yeah. I liked it. I just didn't like it enough. I would take a 508 over it any day. And you only get it in the one spec. Though they have changed it. So the new one, I don't know if it's any different when it comes to family friendliness. But yeah, I did think the 408 was a bit lacking when I had it. Number 8. Another blue car that I had, and I got to get this right because it was such a long one. It's the Subaru Outback all-wheel drive Sport Touring XT. So basically, it's your Outback Touring XT. The Sport was the limited edition bit. It came in a special color and had blacked out bits and things like that. But they quickly sold out. You can't get them anymore. I think by the time the review went live, you couldn't get the Sport Touring XT anyway. So the Outback Touring XT, beautiful car, really liked it actually. I wasn't sure what to expect. I've always liked the look of them because they're not your typical boxy SUV look, even though I think the new one will be. Yeah, look, it drove well. Okay, CVT, I had to wonder sometimes if it really was turbocharged because it didn't have the bonnet scoop and things like that. Look, it was, and I got used to it. Actually really enjoyed it in the end. I really can't fault it. I guess it just sits in number 8 because there must be 7 better cars. You know, as an SUV as well, they're never, well, I'd say they never. Maybe one will one day. They're never going to sit that high on my list. But I liked it for what it was. Yeah, and one of my colleagues ended up buying one. Not the Sport, but I think it was an Outback Touring, so good on you, Terry. Well done. I don't know if it was on my recommendation. Probably not, but maybe it helped in a way. But yeah, look, I liked it enough. And look, Subaru, keeping CD players in their cars in 2024. You're awesome. Number 7, my first BMW. Look, I liked it. I like this car a bit. The big grills are still a bit of a talking point. I think they don't work on their standard range of cars as well as they do on, like, we've come to accept them on the M3 and the M4 because they look aggressive. I think on the standard range like the i4, yeah, not so much. I think I preferred the rear and the side profile angles. But look, I liked it. It's redeemed the electric cars, in my opinion. There it is. The G80 was a disappointment. It didn't drive particularly well. It was compromised. This rear-wheel drive, i4 eDrive 35, so it was rear-wheel drive. Look, it wasn't fully spec'd out, but it lived up to that, what I expected of a BMW. And now bear in mind, I've driven 3 BMWs and they are all electric powered, so I don't quite have the experience of a proper combustion engine BMW yet. And but yeah, this drove like I thought it should, and this redeemed EVs in my eyes. So yay BMW for all those things. And a friend of mine in the States actually has one of these, so that was kind of cool. I didn't remember it at the time I did the review, but he agreed with some of what I said. I think his is a slightly different spec, being in America. But yeah, that was a cool little tidbit. No, I liked it enough. I like the format. This is probably the closest car to a Stinger I've driven, in that it's a fastback coupe kind of thing. Number 6, we're getting to the meaty end, and if we were rating this differently, so I based this on how I liked the car and would I buy the car with my own money. If I was basing it purely on passion and enjoyment, this car probably would, well, for sure it would make the top 5. But it sits at number 6. Oh, there it was. It's the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Now, I've said many times, and I did say in many of my reviews, I'm not an SUV person, but this car with its Ferrari engineered, or whatever you want to call it, V6 twin turbo, was it a 2.9 litre? Oh my god. I think, yeah, you're basically paying for that engine, and then you've got the practical body around it. And sure, it lacked a little bit tech-wise. The infotainment wasn't that great. I don't think my wife initially liked it much either. Like, she thought, why are we spending so much money on a car like this? But yeah, so it took a while. Brake feel in that, I remember when I first drove it from the pickup point, was a bit like, oh, what's up with this car? So, but it took some getting used to, and then once you did get used to it and realize what it could do, you could drive it around fairly confidently. It's different drive modes too, so I did have it in dynamic once and gave it a bit into a turn, and the back stepped out, which surprised me a bit, even for an all-wheel drive, but it's not permanent, so, you know, I had to learn these things. But yeah, towards the end of my time with it, race mode was fine, and just hitting those mountain passes, going up and down. I spent the most on fuel in this car just because of how much fun I was having with it. So it was an SUV, but that engine, amazing. And it kind of bums me out a bit. I was down to have the Giulia Quadrifoglio, and Alfa took that car away and swapped it for the Stelvio. I'm not, you know, I'm glad I got to experience the Stelvio, but I do wonder, the Giulia probably would have gone to number 1 on this list. I'm just saying it now. I don't know. I can't say, and it's also disappointing that the Stelvio and the Giulia are dead in that format now, so I probably won't get a chance to drive one. If you've got a Giulia Quadrifoglio that you'd love to let me have a go at, I would definitely take you up on that offer. Yeah, so anyway, $175,000 is a lot of money to spend on a car, but look, I wouldn't say you're stupid for doing it, that's for sure. We're now into the top 5, and so the number 5 car pips the Alfa purely for practicality and tech, and you can have probably 90-95% as much fun in it. You're just not getting those engine notes and things like that the Alfa has. Is the Genesis GV70 luxury sport line, and it was also red. It's funny, I took pictures of these cars in the same places as well. There's this beautiful spot in Sydney. I'll put them up. But it's a very similar layout. It's an SUV, 5-seater. It has a twin-turbo V6. It just, the Genesis just doesn't make the same sound, give you that glorious engine note and fun. Now, admittedly, I didn't drive the GV70 in the same places, and I really should have. Because I even said it at the end of the review, I said this car needs to be driven on some fun roads, but I obviously ran out of time. Silly of me. So if a review for a GV70 Sport comes up again, I should I should make good on that. But look, it's you're saving $75,000 over the Alpha, and you're getting more in most other areas. Like, it's a more efficient car, not that you should care about such things. I liked the interior quite a bit. It came in a dark blue leather with red stitching. That generation is probably the last one that's going to have a sculpted dash. I've seen that the new one now just has a screen across the whole thing, which I'm not a fan of. It's just taking more design elements away. But I think the drive will be much the same. Power-wise, I think they were kind of similar, or at least in their drivability. You had Sport and Sport Plus in the GV70, and the engine made an okay sound. And at 100,000 versus 175,000, I think it's the better choice. Number 4, the highest positioned SUV I drove, the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid EV GSR, the top Outlander that you could buy in 2024. Blacked out bits, a tiny GSR badge on the boot. It's basically my dad's car, so my dad bought an Outlander Touring Exceed Touring in 2023, and this is basically his car. There's no mechanical difference, just a few visual differences. And to be fair, I think you would do just as well to get the Touring or the Exceed Touring, because of that, there is no difference. You were paying for blacked out pieces, black rims, and a tiny GSR badge on the boot. It drove really well. I was surprised. It puts its power down super well. It was really darty, and I guess that's coming from the batteries. That's coming from the battery powering the wheels. Very super efficient. You just plug it in when you get home, and you're driving around on electric a lot of the time. And it, props to Mitsubishi. The Outlander is a tough looking car. That third row is purely tokenistic, like it's useless. You really can't get anything in the back there. And it's you need a science degree to fold and unfold them. It's probably the letdown of it, but I think most people don't buy it to be a 7-seater. They buy it to be a 5-seater and to have the tech that those higher trim levels give you. Okay, we're into the top 3, and as I said, really depending on the time of day, you could swap these around, but the order that I chose, number 3, the Mazda MX-5 RF GT RS. Recently found out this is probably my wife's favorite car that we've reviewed so far. Probably paired with, we took it on a trip down the south coast, did roadster things with it. So, yeah, such a lot of fun. I'm so glad that I got to have the MX-5. I think someone else might have had it, and it came off the list, then it came back, and I put my hand up. It was during school holidays, so I didn't have to worry about doing the school pickup, because I can't put a child seat in the front. It would look a bit ridiculous, which was a shame. My daughter's now, she's now old enough that she can sit in the front, but at the time I had the MX-5 she couldn't. I think it would have been a bit, it wouldn't have worked out so well. The top one, so we had the Bilstein shocks, we had the BBS wheels, things like that. It was interesting. Not many people like the colour. I know people probably prefer the soft top, being more purist, but I like the RF. I think it was pretty good just to have it. Yeah, that was my first convertible that I reviewed as well. Pure fun factor, this would probably be number 1 in the list, but based on how I've done the list, it fell to number 3 just because it misses a bit of the practicality that the cars in positions 2 and 1 have. But oh my gosh, yeah, super happy to have driven one. I totally get the following that the MX-5 has because of that formula. My mate Dave has one, and I think he was pretty keen to hear my thoughts on it. I hope I did the car justice, and yeah, really couldn't fault it. Had a lot of fun with it. Number 2, another car that I'm pretty happy I got to drive because it has a following just like the MX-5 does. It's in number 2 because, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with number 2, but it didn't get the first place because I think it needed a little more. And I'll explain this. So it's the Subaru WRX RS. So at the time, this was the top spec manual that you could get. And again, I love that it was manual. But, you know, we want more. And so Subaru answered that by bringing out the Spec B, and I kind of wish I got to review that, because that is the answer to this car for me. Has the wing from the 3rd generation on it, which, look, there's nothing wrong with that wing, but you need to have the big boy racer wing on it. Has the better brakes and had adaptive suspension, which the RS missed out on. Now, as a pure WRX, the RS was a really good car to have. The problem of it was that I had it during a wet week, which kind of helped out a little bit. It had 9 kilometers on it. So it was brand spanking new. I've not even owned a car that had that little Ks on it. My first car had 20. So this was straight off the showroom, well, not even, straight out of the factory on the boat into the holding yard. So we had to try and run it in a bit. So we did some big trips with it, and look, I loved it, but you know, it was a format that I've not had since my last car. So it was I had a small hot hatch, so it's that category. There's nothing wrong with the car, but for me, and for it to have gone higher on my list, I would have liked those extra additions. Yeah, so look, but very happy to have had the chance. I've now driven a WRX, or I've had one for some time, and it was a very good car. Kind of matured WRX, I suppose, over the previous generations, and that's been consecutively happening. Had a CD player in it again, which, again, awesome. Subaru that you're still doing that. I don't know when you're going to kill them off, but, you know, yay for physical media. Now, have you been keeping track? We're at number 1, and that is the Hyundai Sonata N-Line. This held the position. It was the first car I reviewed for the year, and I just loved it. I was really surprised by it. Kind of Stinger vibes from it. It was red. It's a big sedan, a proper sedan, but obviously it's front-wheel drive. There it is. I mean, look at it. And I like the look of it. I think it's one of the best executions of that modern, ultra-modern design that Hyundai have. Now, it may age poorly, but I think it's an improvement over the pre-facelift Sonata, which is basically the same car, just with different front and rear ends. The lights did all these fancy things, even the rear lights, when you turn the car, when you lock and unlock the car, things like that. N-line spec, you had a automatic sunshade in the back, which the G80 also had. Like, you weren't wanting for much, and people complain, being that it's front-wheel drive, that it doesn't have a limited slip diff. I never found that it needed it. I obviously wasn't pushing it that hard, but I took it through Galston Gorge, which is one of Sydney's tightest roads, and had a good run through there in this, and like it didn't have a problem at all. So I like the look of it, the sound of it. Like, from a 4-cylinder engine, it's okay. As an alternative to a Stinger, it would have been fine. Yeah, so look, and I know from people who have driven them, they're also quite happy with them. There's just, obviously, it's a market that's kind of died off big sedans, which is a shame. People are going for SUVs instead. But for me, that's the number 1 car of the cars I reviewed in 2024. As I said, between that, the WRX and the MX-5, they are all interchangeable depending on your mood in a day. But I think as an all-rounder, a car that I didn't think needed anything else, the Sonata wins. Fun times. Like, 25 cars in a year is a lot to cover. It's hard to rank them. I'm already trying to think, like, with the 16 or so I've done for 2025, how to rank those, whether I want to follow the same format. If you got any ideas on that, let me know. Like I said, so I based last year on, if I had my own money, would I buy it? And it basically came down to a car that did everything with no compromise. So, like, and that's where I'm a bit torn. The MX-5 does everything with no compromise. The main compromise is obviously it's a 2-seater, so we can't take my daughter with us if it's me and my wife, for example. That's the main thing. But for fun factor, it was the number 1 car, clearly. So that's kind of how I've based it. Is that fair? Because I'm kind of torn on that in 2025, I've driven a few 2-seater cars which could be vying for the top position. I just need to see how things go there. Now, so that kind of just leaves cars that I didn't have an opportunity to review. Maybe I can just slap it here. I don't know how long these videos are. I don't like making videos too long because I know your time is precious, and I do want you to, you know, come on the journey with me. But let me just see. There were a few. I've got a list here. Yeah, sometimes things don't work out. I mean, that's just the nature of things. So I kind of got it in order here. I was originally down for a Genesis, another GV70, a Genesis GV70 electrified. I swapped that one out because the BYD Seal Performance came up for review, and I really wanted to drive that. Unfortunately, so that I was locked in, and then that never eventuated. Apparently the car was damaged, but also, oddly enough, we never heard from BYD again. So we haven't had a BYD to review in the time that I've been with Exhaust Notes. I think we did the Atto 3 before, but yeah, we've not had them. So waiting. and that was a shame, because obviously I was quite excited to review that. We were even at one of the electric shows, and we could have test driven a BYD Seal, and I said, nah, I'm going to have that for a review soon, I don't need to. Well, yeah, but that didn't really work out. With regards to the GV70, obviously I did end up driving the V6 twin turbo version later on, and how good that was. I don't know how the electrified would have been, considering how I didn't quite like the G80. So we covered the BYD Seal, didn't get that. That was a shame, ended up with a gap in the schedule as a result, but never mind. I was down for my first Alfa Romeo would have been the small Tonale. You know what? I don't miss this. I think I'm good that I didn't get this one. I've not heard that it's that particularly good. Might not have been a good first impression of the brand either. Basically, the chief editor needed a car at that point, and so I swapped it out with him. I didn't get to drive the Tonale, and that's okay. I got the Stelvio later on. I think I mentioned too, I was down for the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, but Alfa pulled that review car saying it was too old, and it was swapped for the Stelvio Quad. So look, I would have liked the Giulia. I love a performance sedan, and yeah, I now knowing that I'm not likely to drive one, yeah, I'm a little bit sad. I was when the new generation Hyundai Santa Fe came out, lots of us put our hands up, and I was in the draw for that. I would have reviewed the base model, and then when I saw the WRX come up for review, I swapped to that instead. Which is kind of funny, because yeah, we were all, like, it was the new Santa Fe, we all wanted a piece of the action, and I think two of us ended up swapping it out and not reviewing it. The other guy, Dylan, I think he ended up doing the BRZ, I did the WRX, so yeah, that's how much we wanted the Santa Fe. Spoiler alert, I've reviewed a Santa Fe for 2025, so I did eventually. Interesting one. I was never really down to do the Honda HR-V, but I was asked to do it, and I was supposed to have the base model, and then when I got to the pickup place, they had no record of it. Some phone calls and stuff later on, I ended up with the EHEV L that I reviewed. So yeah, that one I missed, but I can't say I really miss it, put it that way. And the last one, I was down for the Outlander Fev Exceed, so this would have been a trim level below my dad's one. Again, a situation came up where someone else needed the car, so I swapped out, and of course I ended up having the GSR later in the year, which I really liked. And I think there would have been a bit of a difference between the Exceed and the GSR, so I can't really say that that was downgrade or too disappointing. I enjoyed the GSR. So that's it, a handful of cars there that I didn't get to drive. The only one I'd say are, well, the two sedans are the ones that I'm kind of a bit bummed about. Maybe I'll get a Seal in the future, but you know what, the ship is kind of sailing on that, so that's been out for a few years now. And whether BYD get in touch with us is, I'm not sure. The Giulia, that one, yeah, that one I'm a bit sad about. Anyway, I think that's enough of me talking for 2 videos on this whole thing. But if you like the format, if you found it interesting, if you got any input yourselves, let me know. I want to hear it. And yeah, I'll do the same for 2025. Once I get to the end, there's one car I'm locked in for to the end of the year at this point. But even at September, there could be some others coming up to as the year draws to a close. So we will see. But I'll just let you know, 2025 has been an amazing year. It's going to be hard ranking these. If you have any questions about any of it, please feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to chat about it if I get a chance. I think that's enough. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. More content coming. I am slowly uploading behind the scenes stuff from Exhaust Notes as well. Hopefully you're enjoying those. I think the MX-5 drive went up recently. So yeah, that should be a good one. And a few more of those fun cars. I've just started filming some drive runs as well to go up. They will go up in due time. All right, I think yeah. Look, I'm just gonna end it there. So thanks for watching. Sound off in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Do take care.